All right, let's get to it. Let's not waste any more time. I got to hit the gym after this. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you all are having a fantastic morning so far. I am. I've just been pretty productive so far, but listen, this isn't about my morning, right? I want to have a conversation. I want to have an honest conversation that unfortunately most people avoid. And this is usually people who have very little to no money or who are too very scared of money or to talk about money to begin with. And it's funny. This is actually not just so much as a conversation. This is also kind of like more of me being on my soapbox because I don't understand why people skirt around this topic. It's about money. And the reason why I want to have this conversation about money is because most people, A, don't understand money, B, are too afraid to talk about money because they have the spirit of lack within them, and C, let's be clear. If you want to be or do anything in this world, you got to have some money. You got to have some bread. You got to have some economic points on the board because if you don't, you're going to be left behind and you're going to be fucked, to just put it quite simply. So let's not tarry this any further and let's just get straight into it, okay? So the reason why I want to have this conversation about money is because everybody's afraid to talk about money and I don't understand it. Listen, you can't do anything, have any impact, power, nor authority if you ain't got that dinero. So I remember, and this is inspired by a bunch of different things, especially on my topics that I talk about all the time about the class warfare and the fact that the middle class is completely dying away and either you're going to be rich or you're poor. There's not going to be any more in-betweens. There's not going to be any middle. Either you're lukewarm. No, actually not lukewarm. I'm sorry. Either you're hot or you're cold, to put it quite simply. And I remember I had this conversation with someone from work, for example, and we were talking about money, and we were talking about like, oh, I noticed that on your profile that one of the books that you read is, for example, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I wanted to have a conversation about that and what is his mindset in terms of money and stuff like that. And I notice a trend in the words that he says and the words he uses because I pay attention to the small things. The things that you think that I don't pay attention to, the small things that most people tend to ignore, I actually notice most of the time. I really do have a knack for catching the context clues. And one thing that he did say a lot was that I really noticed is he would talk about that. He would talk about the book and the specifics, like for people who are looking for towards that material, or he will say that material. He won't say finances. He won't say money. He'll say that material. And that to me speaks on his mentality and how he views and believes money. Listen, if you're not afraid of the money to me is like a woman. You got to attract her, right? You got to woo her. You got to do all these different things. You got to be someone who money sees as, oh, I need to go towards this person. I need to go towards that guy because this person, that guy is the type of character and who has the skill sets and the talents that brings more of me to him. So it's kind of like that. And to have this ideal or this, not ideal, but this idea of fear and nervousness and pause and hesitation when it comes to topics around money and finances is bizarre to me. It really is. Listen, I'm very, and I mean very, when I say very, I mean I cannot overstate this enough. I am very unapologetic in my pursuit of becoming rich. Very unapologetic. Because I understand the amount of impact that I can have with that type of resources and with that type of economic power. Because let's be clear, even though the character work is being done, without that economic power, you're not going to get very far. You're just not. I mean, for me specifically, I don't know where you're watching this from, but I'm here in America. You got to put some economic points on the board. Whether you got to own a business, you got to have maybe some side hustles, maybe you need to have a second job, maybe you need to start investing. Whatever it is that you need to do to get that money, you need to go get it. Real talk. And I'm not talking about doing any like low vibrational, dirty stuff like drug dealing and all that stuff. Like that's low vibrational. That fast money, that quick money that you get on the front end, it never pays off in the end. You got to get your money on the back end. You got to get the hard, slow way. Because if you do that, then the money will never stop coming to you. And then you end up compounding and attracting more and more and more. But if you get that fast money, it always has to do with some sort of character deficiency. And it always also has to do with, there's a cost with it. There's always a price that you have to pay up front if you want it the fast way. And sometimes that price could be your life. So I'm not an advocate for getting money the fast way. I'm not an advocate for getting money the slow way. Slow growth is the way to go because that's what's enabled you to be rich and wealthy forever. You cannot put yourself in a position of power to be rich and wealthy forever if you're trying to get it after this shit quick. It never works that way. It never works that day. It's the same with a woman. You can't expect to get laid really quickly, honestly, if you're just really trying to rush it because she can sense her desperation and she's not going to give you nothing. So I don't understand why families don't talk about money around the dinner table. I don't even understand why they don't talk about politics because politics is power and power is money. So I don't understand why people don't even talk about that on the dinner table. They don't talk about money with their families. They don't talk about money with their friends. They're not open to the idea of doing business or even having a business or owning a piece of America within themselves. And now I say America because I'm American and I'm from America. So if you're watching this and you're from different countries, just understand in this country, ownership is it's ideal. It's not only ideal, but it's how you own something, right? For example, people who know anything about money can't take people who deliberately put themselves into debt to impress other people or just because they made an emotional decision seriously. For example, you may like this Jeep or you may like this car, this BMW, and you're making these ridiculous monthly payments for what? Just to say that you have one? Well, for one, what you don't understand is that shit is not exactly yours. You're renting it. It's not yours. It belongs to the bank. It belongs to whatever lender that's lending you the money to actually pay it monthly through interest. By the way, when you're paying interest, you're just giving them free money. That's free money that you could be giving to yourself to invest into you, to make yourself more valuable to the marketplace, to make yourself into the type of person that is needed to be a powerhouse, to make more money and make yourself more powerful. But people don't even want the idea of investing in themselves is so abstract for them. They can't really comprehend it. They can't comprehend it properly. And they feel better by making these emotional decisions like, oh, I want that Gucci shirt. Oh, I want that Louis Vuitton belt. Oh, I want that Jeep. Oh, I want that BMW. Oh, I want that Mercedes. Oh, I want that house. Yeah. Oh, I want that house, even though I can't really afford it. Why? Because I just have to have a house. And I know I talked about ownership, but again, I said this and I prefaced it by saying it's how you own it that matters. There's a difference between owning a home in your name and you being personally responsible rather than owning a home through a business and having anything and everything regarding to that home to be tax deductible because it generates revenue and it generates profit through cash flow through the business. There's a difference. It's a different game. And that's what money is. It's a game. It's entirely a game. That's why games like Monopoly and all these money games need to be played because you need to understand how money works. If you do not teach your children the importance of money and how it works and how it flows and what it's attracted to and how it is made and how it can be leveraged, you're doing your children a disservice. Real talk. Now, I say children because they're the ones that you can shape and mold still. Adults, your friends, even your partners or whatever, listen, those people, because of their life experiences and what it is that they believe, they've been programmed a certain way. They're probably not even going to take in most of the information. It's probably honestly going to go in one ear and out the other. That's why you don't throw pearls before swine. And it's not to say that they're swine. The point is that the swine does not know the value of the pearls, where it comes from and how it is made. It doesn't understand any of that. It just sees, oh, is this something that I can eat? That's all that they think. That's the point. The point isn't to call them swine. The point is they don't understand the value which it is given to them. So you will throw yourself deliberately into debt. And for what? And for what? You've made an emotional decision. You didn't make a financial decision. You didn't make an intelligent decision. You made an emotional decision to put yourself into debt. And now you're indebted to these banks. And you just deliberately locked yourself into these chains. You put these chain bracelets and anklets onto yourself. You deliberately walked into your own slavery, your own enslavement. That's what debt is. It's modern day slavery. Whether it be student loan debt, whether it be through car debt, through car payments, whether it be through, a mortgage, whatever it is, there are people who will put themselves into debt. And the reason why I'm primarily emphasizing debt when it comes to talking about money is because it is people's number one problem when it comes to their finances. They have spending problems, which leads them into debt. Or they just don't understand it. They just don't know better. And they think, oh, this is just a normal way of life. We're supposed to be in debt. No. That is only something that you need to leverage and use in order to enrich yourself further. But you don't even know that. You don't even know that that could be a good thing. You don't even know that that's a thing, that you can leverage debt to become richer. You don't know anything about money, man. It's okay. And a lot of times I see women making these mistakes because they make a lot of these emotional decisions based on how they feel. So they go out and they just buy shit. That's why the majority of the market share is from women, because they just go out and buy things. They're the ultimate consumers. And this isn't to harp on the ladies. It's just a people problem in general. People just don't understand how money works, how it flows, and how it needs to be leveraged. If you're trying to build any type of wealth, and I'm not trying to take any too much longer, if you're going to generate any type of wealth, you need to first focus on getting out of debt. Whether you have a side hustle, whether you have a second job, throw every money that you can. Throw every amount of money, extra money that you have in getting yourself out of debt. You need to get out of debt. And before you put yourself into debt, ask yourself the question, is it worth it to put myself into debt for this thing? Because if I'm going to put myself into debt to get this degree that's not going to pay much, you just deliberately walked into your own enslavement. It's a difference between doctors putting themselves into debt. They can pay that off really fast. It's a difference. But debt is just another aspect. Another aspect is just lifestyle. People want to live that high-rise, fast car lifestyle. I get it because I want to live that lifestyle too. However, I'm intentional, meaning there is a way to do it. There is a proper way of doing it without putting too much financial burden upon yourself. And unfortunately, it's something that most people are just never going to get to. They're just never going to graduate to that level because they have a lifestyle problem. They have a lifestyle creep problem. They have a debt problem, a spending problem, and they make emotional decisions around money. And what you need to understand is money is just a tool at the end of the day. It's not the root to all evil. The love of money is the root to all evil. It's a difference because the love of money is going to enable you to do things that is outside of character in order to get to it, which puts you in danger, which puts you at risk, and sets you up for ultimate failure. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. Money is just a tool at the end of the day. It is a tool to be used and leveraged. That's it. But most people, unfortunately, are not even going to come to that understanding because they think money is just to be spent. So they have a consumer mentality and they just spend the shit. They just, okay, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. And they just don't understand how it is that they need to leverage it in order to enrich themselves, to invest in themselves, to become more valuable to the marketplace. You see what I mean? So that's the gripe with money. Now, there's a whole bunch of other things that I can go into about money, especially when I say stuff like money isn't actually real. It's not what you actually think it is. It's not the paper or the numbers. It's not the paper that you carry in your wallet. It's not the numbers that you see into your account. Money in itself is not even real. And that will completely fly over the vast majority of people's heads. But that's a different conversation for a different day. In closing, I just want to say this. Get yourself out of debt. Don't give into lifestyle creep. Money is a tool. Leverage it wisely. And most importantly, do not be afraid to talk about money. Do not be afraid to bring up financial literature and content because, quite frankly, most people aren't doing it. They're not talking about the tax code, how they can leverage the tax code to enrich themselves. They're not talking about the impact of, for example, Kamala Harris plans to tax unrealized capital gains, which is a big deal because you don't know how much of a return in the money that your investment is actually going to make. And you're pretty much being taxed on something that's not even realized yet. You know what I mean? So again, this is a conversation most people just aren't having. But this is conversations of topics that I want to be having more because, again, we are in a class warfare. Either you're going to be rich or you're going to be poor. Pick a side, but you got to be intentional. All right? Let's get this money, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the beginning of many financial talks, but let's get this money, all right? Till the next one. Deuces.